Hanging at the fish report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and had them deep tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Tune in to the fish report.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your hosts. Thanks for joining us back in our sound room tonight. You know who it is. It's TK and Heavy D. We're going to be talking to them a little bit later in the program. And, of course, out in Studio R, it's Covey and Kearns. Always excited to talk to them. Ken, another fun night on FRL. Lots to talk about tonight.
Yes, we do, Craig. Really looking forward to talking about high school softball, high school baseball, maybe a little bit of high school track and field. It's the postseason, Craig. The league championships are wrapping up. And, just a lot of exciting things going on this spring. And, Craig, so the other thing we're going to throw in there fun tonight, Craig, is we're going to get a big interview tonight with Chris Timmerman. And some of our high school sports fans are saying, Chris Timmerman, who's this? Well, he's on a unique sport of his own called TSD, Tactical Skills Development. I've taken this class personally, Craig. It's a whole bunch of fun, and it's all about guns. It's all about ammunition. It's all about conceal and carry. You want to talk about a fun, exciting, in-depth class, look this guy up, and we're going to talk to him here on the show here in just a little bit.
Yeah, going to be a lot of fun. Before we get to that, though, Ken, just like we do here every week on the show, have our poll question. What do we have for our viewers tonight?
Well, we're going to ask our viewers, Craig, what do you think of the OHSAA naming Jerry Snodgrass as their new executive director? Do you love the move? Do you should have named someone else, or are you asking who is Jerry Snodgrass? So I've seen Jerry before. I think I've actually met him once before, Craig. Seems like a great guy. I think personally the OHSAA made a great decision. Someone that works very hard for high school sports and Jerry Snodgrass.
Yeah, of course, he's taken over for Dr. Dan Ross, who did a nice job. Jerry actually was on our program here, I think, about a year ago. And, of course, he gave that speech to the runner-up Russia Raiders. We saw him when they finished over there at state baseball last year. And always a good speaker, always fun listening to him, and hopefully we'll maybe get him on the show here now that he's the new commissioner over there. But,
absolutely.
If you're watching us on the Fish Report Live page on your phone or your computer right now, you can scroll down, help us answer tonight's poll question, and check the results. If you're watching us on NK Telco cable television, TK is going to have those results for you at the end of the show. All right, Ken, well, let's get things started, and a lot of baseball action going on tonight, tournament action. I know last week we broke down that Dayton 3, Dayton 4. Let's get back to that and see where we're at a week later here.
Yeah, we are, Craig. So what the teams have punched their tickets to the finals of the sectionals, Craig. The first round playing games were on Monday night. The semifinals were tonight. Russia Raiders, the number 1 seed, Craig. They took on Riverside. Russia won in run roll fashion there. In the bottom half of that bracket, Craig, the number 3 seed Lehman Cavaliers took on Jackson Center Tigers, winning that game easy as well. So Russia Lehman scheduled, Craig, for next Wednesday at Newton, Craig. This is a rematch of last year's sectional final, a game that Russia won in extra innings. I think it went 9 or 10 innings. It was a phenomenal baseball game, Craig. Russia eventually obviously going all the way to the state championship game. So Russia Lehman, rematch from last year, playing in the sectional finals. Craig, in the other half of the bracket, the Dayton 4, Fort Loramie beat Ansonia, Craig, in a highly contested game right there. Fort Loramie came in as the number 2 seed overall. Ansonia was the 11th seed. Fort Loramie won the game 3-0. But like it is in the postseason, Craig, it's survive and advance. The Redskins did so. And in the lower half of that bracket, Craig, Triad, the number 4 seed, took care of Bradford. So those two teams will meet Craig, and which will be a very good game next Wednesday also at Sydney High School.
Yeah, looking forward to both those matchups there. And staying in the Shelby County Athletic League, Fort Laramie and Rouge, of course, a couple of the top teams. And then the Anna Rockets also won tonight over in Division III, so they're moving forward. I did have a little bit of an upset tonight over in the CCC, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, Craig. And, it's postseason. Anything can happen in baseball. The Newton Indians, Craig, the number 1 seed in the other half of the Dayton bracket, Craig, they came in with, I think their record was like 18-2, number 1 seed. They got beat tonight by Southeastern by a score of 1-0. So the Newton Indians, Craig, great season they've had so far in the CCC. Unfortunately for them, they are out of the tournament. So a lot of action, Craig. One other big thing to look at this year down the road in tournament action. Last year where Rouge and Minster met in the state championship game, Craig, that will not happen this year because that bracket from the North Division will come south this year to the Springfield Regional. So whether it's Minster or New Bremen or St. Henry. Now, St. Henry, Craig, they are Division 4. Some media publications are listing them as Division 3. They aren't on the uppity up of what's going on. St. Henry is actually Division 4. So St. Henry, a great baseball team, Craig. They, too, very well could be down in that Springfield Regional.
All right, a lot of fun with that, Ken, and I'm in tournament mode right now, but one thing that's still going on is a little thing called the SCAL Championship. That hasn't been decided exactly yet, has it?
No, it hasn't, Craig. Rouge right now, Craig, has a 1-game lead in the loss column over both Fort Laramie and Anna. Rouge Laramie, big game tomorrow night, Craig. That game will be at Rouge Park tomorrow night at 5 o'clock. Rouge, again, has 2 games left to play. They've got Fort Laramie tomorrow night. They've got Fairlawn on Friday night, Craig. Mix in a tournament game tonight. So 3 consecutive huge games for Coach Flippo and his Raiders, Craig. He's got them playing very good baseball right now. They're hitting the ball very well. They've had excellent pitching all year. Their defense is finally, all their kids are finding a home position for themselves. And Coach Flippo's got his team playing very well. The Fort Laramie Redskins, Craig, likewise playing very well. Ever since Rouge run-ruled Fort Laramie over at Fort Laramie, which was probably 4 weeks ago, I'm guessing, I think the Skins have only lost 1 game since then. So, Coach Sanders' team playing very well also. So big game tomorrow night in Rouge. Much bigger for Fort Laramie than it is for Rouge, but nonetheless a very big game.
All right, well, great report there on baseball, Ken. Like I said, a lot of fun going on right now. But let's change gears, talk a little softball. And for that, let's go out to Studio R, check in with Covey and Kearns out there. They know everything we want to know about softball. And guys, looking kind of dapper there. I noticed you got the new hairdo going on. I don't know if that's a baseball thing there, but a little bit of a fade, mohawk. I don't know what you call that exactly. What's is that a team thing or just a Fish Report Live thing?
Well, a couple members of the Rouge baseball team. I don't know if you can notice mine as much as Daniel's, but we decided for the postseason to get a little bit of a fade. Thanks, shout out to Olivia Quinter for that. Just a little postseason fun we're having, and I don't know if the parents approve of it, but they'll have to deal with it for graduation maybe. So hopefully we'll be playing into June with these things.
Well, looking good tonight on Fish Report Live, that's for sure. Guys, last week on the show, we talked about those that super sectional, that Southwest District, and kind of set up the brackets for our viewers out there. Let's. I know we're into a couple rounds of that. Let's see where we're at right now and fill us in here.
Yeah, we're going to start with the City 1 section here, which we all know should most likely be a contest between Rouge and Newton here in the end, Daniel. But I think Houston can give give Newton a run for their money. Don't think it will happen. I think we'll have that Rouge Newton sectional final matchup.
Yeah, we predicted that. I believe last week Newton and Rouge being your final 2 teams. But I could definitely see Houston giving Newton a game. I don't think Newton has the experience or maybe as good of a team as last year to beat Newton, but they'll definitely give them a run for their money.
And the next up we have the City 2, which not much of a shock here. Well, it should be Tri-County North Bradford. Talked about last week how, before we had Bradford coach Sean Schaefer on, how Tri-County North beat Bradford earlier in the year 2-1. I'm still going to go with Bradford as the favorite here. I like Skip Miller, Bailey Weisong. They have a lot of good players. But I think Skip Miller is going to go out and throw a couple fantastic games. They got to beat Southeastern first, and then Tri-Village got to beat Tri-County North. But I think Bradford's still the favorite to come out of this sectional.
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think Tri-County North maybe has the upper edge. I think they got a little bit more of experience with Skip Miller being a freshman, and a lot of their infield and outfield is all freshmen, and maybe a little inexperienced. They might crack under that pressure being in the sectional final. So I'll go with Tri-County North.
Yeah, Erica Smith has been a really good center fielder for Tri-County North, hitting .440 this year for the Tri-County North Panthers.
That Sydney 3 sectional, what are you seeing there?
Honestly, surprised, like I said last week, to see Russia not hop in this sectional. Going after Newton, I still respect Coach Mullenkamp for doing that. Mechanicsburg, their pitcher last year was a girl by the name of Maya Mayo. I remember she shut out the Raiders in the sectional finals last year. They won 5-0, I think. Still the favorite to come out of the sectional. Covington should probably be the team that gives Mechanicsburg a run for their money. Laramie struggled early on with Twin Valley South, but ended up really pounding it on there in the end, winning about 20-5. You know, Coach Brad Turner does a nice job over there with both golf and softball, but particularly the softball team can give some teams some trouble sometimes. And then I still think Mechanicsburg is definitely the team to get out of sectional.
Yeah, I think that might have been the reason that the Raiders decided to go away with Mechanicsburg. How it ended last year, they might have wanted to try a different route, maybe give an upset, and maybe that big one against Newton will spark it and get Russia out of the sectional for the first time. And I don't even know when the last time the ladies have been out of the sectional. First time ever, and it'll be, if they spark something, they can get into the district, who knows what'll happen. So, yeah.
And I think you guys hit the nail on the head there. I think don't overlook Houston Wildcats. I think they're a team there. They could give Newton a good game, and who knows, in baseball, softball like that, anything can happen. Coach New's team, if they can play a flawless game defensively, I think they'll be right there with them.
Yeah, they certainly have the tradition backing them there. Guys, one more section we'll get to, and of course that is the Dayton sectional there with one Shelby County team still in the mix there.
Yeah, I think Riverside's definitely the heavy favorite here. The way they've been playing lately, NWCC champions, been playing really great as of late. Been pounding it on a lot of area teams with Houston included, so I think they're a heavy favorite. I think Triad was a little misseeded here. Triad has a good softball tradition. They have a state championship in softball, but they really pounded it on. I think they're really underseeded as a 13 seed. I think they'll upset the Franklin Monroe Jets, but I think they'll run into a little bit of a buzzsaw here in Riverside, and I think the NWCC champions will get out and advance to the district.
Yeah, Triad's been swinging the bat really well this whole season, but I think it'll be Franklin Monroe and Riverside in the finals. I'll take Franklin Monroe over Triad in that game. Just the way they've been playing, I think they split it with the Raiders before, and they played some really nice softball against a good Raider team. But I'll also take Riverside coming out of the sectional.
All right, guys, and the one SCAL team that we didn't see in any of those brackets, of course, is in Division III, and that's the Anna Rockets. Had a very good season, but ended a little bit early, didn't it?
Yeah, they lost the other night to, I think it was Marion Pleasant, 8-4. So congrats to the Rockets on a good season. At 13 wins, 7 losses, still a solid season. Not the way you wanted to end it. Actually, it's not Marion Pleasant. It was Northeastern they lost to in the first round. So good season for the Rockets. I'm sure they'll have multiple all first and second team SCAL nominees.
And I know we talked with Ken about the boys' SCAL standings, the girls' SCAL standings. Not quite finished, but then again, guys, it kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah, the Raiders coming in with a mark of 11-0. Just got to face their crosstown rivals, the Fort Laramie Redskins, on Saturday. Looking to finish 12-0 for the second consecutive year. The Redskins gave them a tough task the first time, took them into 10 innings. But the Raiders have it in the bag, so no matter what happens here, they'll be celebrating their third consecutive SCAL title and their second consecutive outright title.
Yeah, we called this earlier in the season, Raiders being the heavy favorite with also Anna coming in second place, which is how it came out to be right now. The Raiders just got to have their work cut out for them tomorrow against Laramie. I know that it was pretty close last time they played them earlier in the season, but I think the Raiders will run away with it and have a flawless league win.
Pretty impressive stuff there, guys. When you look at Russia and the size of the school district and the number of athletes or the number of student athletes that are in that school system, you look at their girls program sitting at 11-0. You look at the boys program sitting at 9-1, 20-1 combined records between the softball team and the baseball team. That's just phenomenal when you look at all the other bigger schools with Anna, Fort Laramie, Houston. Follow right down the line, and Russia to be sitting at 20-1 combined again. And not only this year, but last year, the year before. I mean, this is 3 years in a row. And hats off to Coach Mullenkamp, Coach Flippo for great jobs.
And hats off to the parents. It says a lot about the parents.
It does say a lot about the parents and about the kids. Let's not forget them as well.
All right, guys, great stuff there. Thanks for that. And with that, we're going to take a short break, but stay right there because I guarantee you're going to get a bang out of our next Hot Shot guest.
just advised by foolish views. Religious divide among those may create civil war on my family land. Oh, blood and bruised and slain. Oh, pride in this name.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking high school softball and high school baseball. We talked to a lot of coaches, Ken, on this show, a lot of athletes, members of the media. Every once in a while, though, we veer off subject a little bit with something a little bit different. And tonight, we're going to do exactly that. We have a special guest with us tonight. He is the owner of Tactical Skills Development here in Russia. I believe their motto over there is a personal approach to personal protection. We welcome to the program now Mr. Chris Timmerman. Chris, welcome to Fish Report Live, and thanks for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, listen, we're going to talk about firearms tonight, and I'm sure there are viewers out there are saying, listen, this is a sports talk show. What does firearms safety and firearms training have to do with sports? But I want to mention right off the bat that you actually participate in from time to time in like shooting contests, those types of things, don't you?
No, absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize it, but there's numerous different disciplines that are all competitive sports based around shooting. It's not quite as mainstream through some of the Midwest states, but as you get down into Kentucky, Tennessee, and some of the Appalachia states, it's still, some of them are high school sports. Everything from trap and sporting clays to what I generally participate in, which is an action pistol. So it's all timed and accuracy-based. Obviously, with safety a number one priority across the board for all of them. But there's over 50, I believe, colleges that will actually offer D1 scholarships for the shooting sports as well.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that. But listen, let's talk about tactical skills development, or TSD, I know as you like to call it. I was fortunate enough to actually get out to your range back in 2016 and get a little bit of training from you. Can you briefly explain to our viewers, though, what you all do there at TSD?
So we offer a variety of classes based predominantly around personal protection and making yourself a safer individual in your life. Various levels of pistol classes, from the beginner shooter that might be interested in obtaining a concealed carry permit or just having a firearm in their home for self-defense, through the more advanced classes for those that are very interested in it. We offer defensive shotgun classes, various rifle classes, and as well as, it's not all about just the shooting. We offer some emergency trauma medicine classes. So anything that might be applicable to any type of defensive engagement for a concealed carrier, or your kid crashing his bike out on the driveway, or a farmer that has an incident with some of the industrial equipment. So we offer all of those open to the public and to civilians. And then on top of that, we spend a good portion of our training specific to armed school staff for response to active shooter. We work with various school districts, armed responders, as well as some religious organizations that have armed response teams for their religious establishments, conducting reoccurring training for them, and are associated with the Buckeye Firearms Foundation and the FASTER program. We've actually started this year teaching their one-day required shooting class for any new educator that's heading down to the FASTER Level 1 program. So it's been a great year, and we keep adding more things to our schedule as time goes on.
Chris, hi, this is Ken. Let's talk a little bit about the things that we see in the media. We live in a scary world right now, but with the local news and the media and different things like that. But here we are, small town Ohio, Russia, Ohio. Some people think that we're safe here, but and I hope that we are. But tell us some things about that we need to be aware of.
Well, no doubt we live in a great community. This entire area and all the neighboring towns are, growing up, we didn't lock the doors and we didn't have much to worry about. But unfortunately, as you said, the world has taken a couple turns for the not so safe. Not to say that we're not safe in our environments, but people need to have an awareness of what's going on. More than likely, and more often than not, as we've seen in the past, there unfortunately are crimes committed in these areas because they're people not from these areas. They're coming from, whether it be a larger inner city, and they realize, we have a false sense of security in some of the smaller towns, and if we don't realize that and prepare ourselves accordingly, it's really eye-opening to be very dangerous if something were to happen. From a personal experience, unfortunately, while I was deployed to Iraq with the 82nd Airborne in 2008 and 2009, we lived in a very safe community. It wasn't, our small subdivision was very similar to where we live now, and my wife was victim of a home invasion. We had 2 police officers that lived on our street, but you feel like it's always something that happens to someone else, somewhere else. We see it on the news in larger cities, be it Cincinnati or Columbus or Springfield or Dayton, right up until it happens to you. So I'm a former Eagle Scout, and as the Boy Scouts like to say, be prepared. You're much better off having a sense of awareness because we all go on vacation and we all travel. So the things that we teach, it's not just for at home in your small communities that are relatively safe, but it's things that you can take with you when you're traveling to other areas that maybe you don't quite have that sense of security.
Chris, let's talk a little bit about the fear of firearms. There's a lot of people out there. I've taken your class. It's a great class, and I'll have to admit, maybe going in, I was a little bit afraid, to rack one of them things. But now, you just get more comfortable with it. What's it like for a first timer coming into your classroom that has a fear of a firearm?
Well, and it's human nature is to have a little bit of a fear apprehension of the unknown and unfamiliar. So we see it quite frequently. We handle a lot of new shooters in our handgun level 1 class, and a lot of it is just about education. We spend a fair amount of time before we ever get out to the range in the classroom, and we focus a lot on just the safety aspects of it. How they operate, the things that are occurring when you line up the sights and when you pull that trigger. And you see very quickly with almost all of the students that we have in there that once they realize it's not as scary as you might think. It'd be like somebody that never ran a chainsaw in their life. Well, it makes a lot of noise and it can be a little dangerous if you use it wrong. But when you teach them how to use it appropriately, they realize it's quite a useful tool. And from my perspective, in the case of firearms, it can be a lot of fun as well. It's enjoyable. It can be a good time, especially if you get into the competitive sports side of it. But it's something that, with the appropriate teaching and instruction, a lot of new shooters shouldn't hesitate to go out and seek out quality training, because I guarantee they're going to find it really enjoyable and they're going to learn a lot of things that make them feel much more comfortable around firearms.
Well, Chris, I can attest to being one of those scared individuals, as Ken mentioned. I know when I went out there a couple years ago, I felt exactly that. And after being with you for a couple hours, you said you had fun. I actually had a whole lot of fun myself. So it was a great experience for me once I got comfortable with things, and I enjoyed myself a lot. But it's not just you out there either. I know you've got a team of guys that you work with that train for you, and with all of you guys, safety is always number one, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And firearms, just like anything else, they're a tool. And when used in the safe and appropriate manner, they're incredibly safe and simple and easy to use and enjoyable. But much like, if you use a hammer in the wrong way, there's a chance you'll hurt yourself. But I do have a full team of instructors that are all accomplished shooters of their own. And we try and make a very big point that we have an instructor-to-student ratio of generally about 3 students to 1 instructor to ensure that we're there to help you if you have issues, to ensure that everyone on the line is being safe. We have numerous different redundant precautions that we take to ensure that we're not going to have any type of injuries or catastrophic problems on the range in terms of safety. And they all work very well together, and they've all been in that same boat of, at some point, we were new to the shooting sports as well, in the defensive use of a firearm. So they understand where our students are coming from, especially the new ones, of, okay, walk me through it, help me understand, and help me be more comfortable. So one of the things that I look for in the instructors I have is their ability to not only perform when necessary, but to relay that information to a new student in a manner that allows them to understand it. Because as you see in any sports, the best players don't always make the best coaches, because they can just do it, but they don't quite understand how to relay that and convey it to someone new. So that's very important for my instructor staff, that not only can they do, but they know how to teach it as well, so that person walks away feeling comfortable and very safe and proficient with whatever firearm they bring to the class.
Chris, one more question for you before we let you go. And you know, we got a lot of listeners out there. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest, you know, from our show here tonight. Any of them that want to contact TSD or, you know, have questions for you or maybe take the class, you know, what would be their next step? Or, you know, what are the age requirements? Do they need a license before they go in there? Or what's required and what's it take?
Well, in terms of the age requirements, we do not have an age requirement. We do ask that, you know, if a parent's going to attend with their child, that they just do a good evaluation of the mature level of that child. We've actually had students through some of our classes as young as 11 and 12 years old attend with their parents. But they were very mature and understood, you know, what it meant and the complexities and seriousness of what we were dealing with. So there is no age requirement. Obviously, to obtain a concealed carry permit, there is set by the state of 21 years old. But they can reach out to us at via email at tsdinfo@yahoo.com. They can visit our website at www.tacticalskillsdev.com, which has all the details of our classes as well as our training calendar for the year. And they can check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/tacticalskillsdev, where they'll be able to see not only new legislation, media relating to either shooting sports or firearms news, student reviews, what they had to say about the class, and they can message us through the Facebook page as well.
All right. Well, listen, great job tonight, Chris. It's interesting stuff, and you know, appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to be on our show with us tonight, and look forward to hearing those guns popping out there on the firing range, just out there on the north side of town.
Well, I appreciate it, both gentlemen. Thank you, and stay safe. Appreciate what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, that was Chris Timmerman from Tactical Skills Development. And let's go back to the sound room because I'm going to check in with TK and Heavy D. I know Heavy D is quite the firearms guy. And Heavy D, I know you got like one of the Daisy Pump BB gun in your gun cabinet. Beyond that, any other guns?
I cut my teeth on a Red Ryder. Did not shoot my eye out. But we got a few firearms around the house, mostly for hunting with the boys. A couple of 20 gauge shotguns. No 9mm though, but that looks like a lot of fun out there at Tactical Solutions. We might have to give that a try.
It absolutely is. That's for sure.
I know one thing, Heavy D, you and your two boys would have like a really good time out there.
All right, and TK, we're going to get to you here in just a second, but can we have one more thing to get to, and that is tonight's poll question.
Yes, we're asking our listeners tonight what their thoughts are on the OHSAA naming Jerry Snodgrass as the next executive director. Do you love the move? Should have chosen someone else, or who is Jerry Snodgrass? So we're going to go to TK back there and see what the telemetrics have to say.
Well, the telemetrics say 83% agree with the choice of Jerry Snodgrass, and I have to throw my name in there too. I agree with it. Never met the man personally, but seen him a variety of times at different sporting events, and does just a fantastic job. Follow him on Twitter. Wonderful job on Twitter, spreading the word about high school sports and the values that those bring along. So I think a great choice by the OHSAA.
Yep, Mr. Snodgrass is a class act, without a doubt. Yep.
Yeah, as local media guy Dave Ross told me here a couple weeks ago, he said that's a great hire for high school sports. So, absolutely.
Agree.
All right, guys, great stuff there, and thanks for that. And with that, it's going to wrap it up for us tonight. We do want to say special thanks to our guest, Chris Timmerman from Tactical Skills Development, for joining us on the show tonight. And if you're thinking, hey, the guys didn't talk about track and field at all tonight, and we're in the postseason, you're exactly right. But make sure you tune in next week, because we're going to have a special guest with us. She is the fastest 400-meter runner in Division III. She's Covington Lady Buccaneers senior Raina Horner. You're not going to want to miss that. But until then, have a great rest of the week. Hope to see you at the Bull Diamond or the track and field somewhere. And good night, everyone.
Hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fishing pond. Don't need no bed, don't need no your port when you tune in to the Fish Report. Hanging at the Fish Report. Hanging